What's up guys, welcome back to NorCal Cycling 2 and welcome back to the Caster Crit Vlogs. We got a really fun one for you today. So it's actually Saturday today, so we're not filming all week this week. We're doing something a little bit different. My boy Luke flew in from Oregon just to ride with us for this weekend. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna take him on this absolutely insane route. And on this route that we're taking him on, of some of NorCal's beauties, we're gonna have 5 stages that we're gonna race on. I'm gonna send it over to VoiceOver EJ to explain the rest. Okay, so Luke is a cyclist who has been riding for about 8 years with roughly 5,000 miles per year. He's never done any sort of structured training or anything like that, but he just absolutely loves being on his bike. Now, I have been riding for about 6 months now, and I've been doing structured training for a little while. So we wanted to see how these backgrounds would compare against each other in some races. Weekend Warrior, Luke, versus Cat 5, myself, or aspiring Cat 5. We will be doing a 70-mile ride today with 7,000 feet of elevation gain. We will race 5 segments of this ride, and then in between these segments will be neutral. If you win a segment, you get 1 point. If one of us beats the other person by more than 30 seconds on a segment, you get 2 points. With that being said, let's dive into the first race, which is up Hawk Hill.
Starting to stay. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so this first segment that Luke and I are racing is Hawk Hill. It's 1.6 miles, 516 feet of elevation gain, and it averages 5.8%. Dude, this was a gnarly one. You can see me starting off here doing like 600 watts and just kind of steadily going at 400. Luke, how did you feel? What was your plan going into this?
Yeah, so EJ, like EJ said, he came out of the gate hot. This was probably about 4 miles in from when we started. I kind of didn't have my legs yet, so when EJ went, I knew I couldn't go with him. So I kind of was hoping that EJ was going to, falter, crack, slow up a little bit. So I kind of just found a nice tempo and tried to keep the gap something reasonable, so if my legs did come around, I could claw it back.
Yeah, definitely. And that kind of, that plays well to go against my strategy, which was just attack from the gate and hoping that I could open up enough of a gap to hold you off, because Luke is definitely a guy that is, on paper, a better climber than I am. He weighs less than me, has a pretty good watt per kilo, so my hope was that this climb was short enough and pitchy enough that I could just kind of bat you off on the start and hope that you wouldn't catch back up. And I was going deep at this point. Shout out to those guys right there too. They
Yo, EJ, love the videos. Thanks, dog.
They gave us some love. They watched the channel, so shout out to you guys. But yeah, let's fast forward a little bit and see if Luke catches up.
So right here, we just swung around a turn, and I kind of saw EJ looking over his shoulder. I kind of saw this as a window of opportunity for me, so I kind of started to throw something at the wall. Was hoping it would stick. You can kind of see I'm starting to claw him back right here, and I think I get pretty close. But again, I'm still not quite feeling myself. Chalk it up to travel right off the plane. Who knows what it was?
Oh yeah,
but
they don't even know that we built his bike in the parking lot before this ride, like literally right before. Like he was fresh off a flight, built his bike, and right here you can see I noticed that Luke was clawing back on my wheel, and I put in one more attack, hoping that I could shake him. But dude, you still had something in you here, like. I just couldn't shake you. What were you thinking at this moment?
Yeah, for sure. I think at this point, right, you can kind of see. I think that roundabout's up here, and you can kind of see the top of the hill. So I was like, you know what? Whatever I got right now, I'm throwing it. I don't got that much time, so I went all in. I put in a pretty big effort right here, hoping I could grab EJ's wheel, and I think I get pretty close to you around this roundabout. But then that last kick that you throw. That was it. That was the nail in the coffin for me.
Yeah, we'll fast forward a little bit and see how the ending plays out. So basically, that gap that I had on Luke, I just did a consistent effort and it grew a little bit bigger. And I think at this point, Luke, I mean, we're like probably what, 1,000 meters from the top. What what were you thinking?
Yeah, at that point, you were gone. I knew I wasn't clawing that back, so I kind of let up here, which in hindsight I shouldn't, because you picked up that bonus point here, which turned out to be crucial. We made an agreement that if a gap of 30 seconds or more was opened up, that the winner took a bonus point there. And I kind of laid off here, hoping EJ would do the same, but EJ just kept riding that tempo and put a pretty big gap in between me and him. So shout out to you, man. You definitely took Hawk Hill pretty easily.
Oh. Oh, holy, I'm sweating bullets. Wow, my game plan was to get a 30-second gap right there. Hopefully go up 2 points, but I burned all my matches. Luke's coming up right now. Woo! Atta boy. Woo! Cross the line strong. Good shit. Oh, okay. Now we just got a nice couple rollers, relax for about 10 miles. Then we're gonna race up Tam. This is gonna be gnarly. Okay, and after that first climb, I actually won by a gap over 30 seconds, which is crazy, but I burned a lot of matches, so we'll see if I can finish today strong. So the current score is me, EJ, 2 points, Luke, 0 points. Let's get into the next segment.
All right, so this climb we got here, it's Panoramic Highway. It's a 5.4 mile climb, just shy of 1,000 feet of elevation and 3.3% average gradient here.
Yeah, and going into this one, as I kind of talked about in the Hawk Hill one, I threw everything at the wall in the Hawk Hill one because I had a feeling this one was going to be really tough for me. I put in like a small dig at the start, and Luke just clawed on because this is a longer climb. This suits Luke's riding style way better than it suits mine. So, yeah, I guess my strategy was just to keep attacking and hoping that I could crack Luke's armor enough that, you know, he wouldn't be able to get back on and I'd create a gap. But, yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Luke, what was your strategy?
Yeah, so right here, you know, we're getting into the ride a little bit. I'm starting to feel my legs a little bit, especially after that Hawk Hill climb. Starting to feel real good here, and we kind of talked about this. So EJ did have a little bit of an upper hand knowing these roads. This was my first time on all of them,
Definitely.
But EJ was kind enough to give me some cliff notes of what was going on. So I did know. I did know what I was getting into here, and like EJ said, this is definitely my style of riding here. I do a lot of solo riding, so I'm pretty good at like sitting right under the red for me and just doing that long. So my plan here was kind of just to sit back, see what EJ was doing, and just kind of ride my own ride still. But not let you get that gap that you had on Hawk Hill. I knew I was going to be in trouble if I let that gap go. So I did my best to keep it pretty close towards the bottom here.
Yeah, and you could see I put in that attack kind of goes into my strategy. I was like, I'm just going to keep attacking because, again, I'm a more punchy rider. I know I have a better top end than Luke, but I know he could tempo me out pretty much any day of the week. So I was hoping maybe I could tire him out. But dude, this is when the weather really started to turn to crap. Like, it was just, it was really starting to come down for us here. So that just added a whole nother aspect for this race. But let's fast forward a little bit and see how it starts to play out.
All right, so I give the GoPro a little wipe here because I'm getting ready to go. So I throw my first punch at EJ here, attacking. So I was kind of scoping out what the gradient looked like on my Wahoo, and I saw that it was kicking right up here. As you can see, here comes the first switchback. So I said, all right, I know this is going to go into EJ's favor. So let me put a dig in here on this lower gradient and just see what I can do. See if I can open something up. At the very minimum, at least get EJ off his tempo, off his game.
That's actually really smart. And me being someone who's like new to the scene and new to some of the strategy, I know, you know, we said you're a weekend warrior in this video, but you do watch a lot of racing, and your race strategy is pretty good. So, like, you doing that dig definitely put me in the hurt. Like, I think unfortunately we only had one GoPro, so there's no perspective from my side, but I barely clawed this back. Like I was absolutely hurting. And then we see you stand up. I think right at this point I got back on your wheel. You realized I got back on your wheel, and you put in one more attack, creating yet another gap. And boy, oh boy, was you were putting me in the red on this climb, man. And we still have, I mean, at least I think 4 miles left. Like we're only probably 1.2 miles into this climb. Like there is a long way to go. So, yeah, we'll fast forward a little bit to the next attack and see how it plays out. Okay, so we're a little bit up the road. Luke is just pushing the tempo hard right now. Like, he is trying to make it as hard as possible for me. And he takes this turn kind of wide. And I checked back. There was no traffic behind me, so I took this inside line and just tried to power through. And honestly, like, this is kind of a cheater move because traffic, open roads, but I made sure it was safe, and I was actually able to get a little bit of a gap here. What were you thinking?
Yeah, for sure. So definitely a sneaky move from your end, a good move, and part of it was too. When I looked back, I saw you, so I really couldn't see anything behind it. But as soon as I gave you that opening, kudos to you, man, for taking that. That was a great play.
Thank you.
When you open that gap up, I'm not going to lie, I'm in panic mode right now, and I chase it back hard. I was like, absolutely not. I knew what happened on Hawk Hill, letting you ride your own tempo. We weren't going to do that again. So I made sure that I got back to that wheel as quick as I could.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And you clawed it back right here, and I tried to put in one more mini attack, but like we've said before, you can just sit right under that red and you can just ride your pace, and it was pretty easy for you to bring this one back. Just you probably burned a little bit of a match, but I can still tell you had quite a bit of energy left in you.
All right, so I was kind of just riding EJ's wheel here for a while, and I had enough of that, so we went ahead, threw a little dig at EJ. I'm feeling good at this point. My legs are coming around. Being from Oregon, this range just putting me in my natural element right now. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. So we went here, attacked. I think you come around. I didn't throw a huge attack, but I think you come around right here.
Yeah, it was kind of like you just noodled. You just kept your tempo by me just to see how I'd react, and I was like, you know what? Screw you. I'm going to counter. Kind of did the same thing you did to me. Just kind of rode right through at a nice tempo, like kind of right above threshold. And then once I got through, kind of put in another dig, tried to hold that gap. But, man, you were strong. Like, I can tell just from my body language up the road, like I'm already hurting. We still have a good 2.5, 3 miles to go. And I was just like, oh, man, like I'm just seeing red at this moment, But I mean, all in all, you do end up bringing this one back, but let's see how it plays out. Okay, so literally for the last mile, it is just attack, counterattack, attack, counterattack. And this is the tail end of one more attack that I had on you. I kind of peeked back here. That good old, like, peek back, like, man, I'm hurting. I hope he's not close behind me. And I could tell, I looked back and you were approaching steadily. So what was your plan right here? What were you thinking?
Yeah, so I know EJ was going hard. I kind of had him up front. He was almost like a carrot on a stick to me at this point. I was just kind of watching that blue jacket, man, and just keeping him there. And you can kind of see I was like, all right, you know what? I'm comfortable with your tempo. I'm not going to sit in your wheel. I'm just going to sit right on your side, let you know I'm here. It's kind of flat here. It wasn't a really good spot for me to send an attack. So I kind of was content to just ride your pace at this point.
Okay, so the weather is just starting to come down. Me being a Cali boy, I'm not in my natural habitat at all, and I'm hurting. But Luke puts in one big dig right here. Unfortunately, we don't have power on the screen, but looking at the Strava segments, he did about 1,200 watts there and just shot through me. Luke, what were you thinking? What was going through your mind right now?
Yeah, for sure. So this section here starts to play to me a little bit. We got a wet surface. I'm pretty comfortable with handling my bike. I think that's probably one of my strong suits. And I start seeing kind of this rolling terrain, and there was a little bit of a pitch there, so I kind of used that as a springboard. And I just grabbed a big gear here and kind of put my head down and just started tapping on those pedals and hoping that I could open something up.
And, you know, again, we don't have a GoPro on my body or a rear GoPro on Luke, but I can tell you he definitely opened up a gap, and it was a pretty big one. And like Luke said, his bike handling is just years ahead of me. So, like, he excels in the wet, he excels on the downhills, on those rollers. You know, it's just like really, really smart play right here, man. Kudos to you. But let's see. Can it hold off? So it does hold off. Luke, rolling into the finish line in style. How you feeling?
Yeah, I remember at this point, man, I was definitely happy to see Alyssa waiting for us because Alyssa was the finish line.
Yep.
I had definitely emptied the tank on that part. I was very happy that I made it to the top. I definitely was nervous. I remember looking over my shoulder, seeing you close it down. But then there was that last little pitch, and being a little bit lighter, I think I just kind of had that dig, and I went for it, and it was just enough to hold you off.
Dang. Luke put in one final attack, and I just couldn't keep up. Holy crap. Dude.
I'm ready for a nap.
All right, on to the next one. After that insane climb, Luke ended up crawling back, getting 1 point. The score is now 2-1. On to the next segment.
3, 2, 1, go.
Roll reversal, baby.
Okay, so coming into segment number 3, we are climbing up to the Pantole Trailhead, 2.8 miles, 554 feet of elevation gain, averaging a mere 3.7%. Now, off the bat, Luke switched roles and hit me with an attack, which I instantly counter right here. Again, I'm doing like 1100 watts, just trying to push through. Dude, it is pouring now at this point. And the bottom of this segment plays definitely to Luke. It's kind of rolling up and down terrain. It's pouring, so I knew I just had to put the power down and hoping that I could stick it out. Luke, what was your strategy going into this one?
Yeah, for sure. So this section here was right off the bat after that last big effort that I put in. So I was kind of hoping, all right, let's see, maybe I heard EJ a little bit, and that was why I put that big attack in, but that kind of blew up in my face. You rode this to perfection. You got this gap, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to ride my pace, and I'm slowly clawing it back in. And you guys will see up here, when I do make contact with EJ, it's right when there's a hill that kicks. So I was digging pretty deep, and as soon as EJ got to that hill, you'll see what happened.
Okay, so I know this hill is coming up. Here's Luke crawling back on. I look back one more time, and I just put down the watts again. And, you know, me being someone who's new to racing and new to strategy, I've been watching a lot of Jeff's videos as I've edited most of them. And, you know, in the masterclass, he talks about the strategy as well. But just kind of punching when they're down. You know, I knew Luke was hurting. I knew I had a little bit more left in the tank, so I put in one more attack before this big hill. What were you thinking?
Yeah, this one hurt. Not physically, not just physically, but also mentally. You know, as soon as I got to EJ's wheel, he just went again, and I spent so much digging on those flats to get back. I think you actually even threw a little come on, Luke, as you're pulling away from me here. So it definitely hurt. You can see you get up the road a little bit here, but I kind of know my riding style too, and I was just content to let you go, let you ride your pace, but I'm also not going to blow myself up. So I was kind of just sitting like right under red, kind of just hoping that, you know, you were going to blow up, that you weren't going to be able to sustain what you were doing. And I could kind of claw my way back in, but yeah, I was definitely hurting here.
All right, let's see if you can bring it back. So you can see me up the road a little bit here. The rain is coming down, but we're closing into the finish line. I was able to hold him off somehow or another. My strategy worked. Thanks for wiping the GoPro, Luke. Shout out to you. Make sure the viewers have a clean view, even though it is just pouring rain at this point. But yeah, content first, baby. But yeah, somehow I was able to hold off Luke for another point to your boy. It wasn't more than 30 seconds. It ended up being kind of close at the end. But yeah, man, this was a good race. Let's go. Woo! Oh. Another dub for yours truly. Oh. Woo! Yeah. After that climb up to Pantoll Trailhead, I took the win going 3-1, going into probably the hardest climb of the day for me. So I needed those points. Okay, so we are on to this next segment, which is from Pantoll to East Peak, 3.9 miles, 720 feet of elevation, averaging 3.4%. But some of that 3.4% is just rollers. So, like, when it pitches pretty hard on this climb. Now, Luke, what's going on?
Yeah, so again, it is the camera here in the trees. It's not doing any justice. It was raining sideways. Winds were chopping at our wheels. This was honestly some of the wildest conditions I've ever rode in.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, we switched the camera so it's on my body now. For the first couple races, it's been on Luke's perspective. But as you can see by my sweet chin up there, we're on board with me. But, dude, yeah, it was just coming down. Honestly, my strategy here was to punch early and hopefully I could hold Luke off, but as you can see, he still has a little bit more energy than me. He's just countering all my attacks, and at this point I am just in the red. I'm absolutely dying. How are you feeling?
Yeah, for sure. I'm hurting too here. I knew you put that big effort in on that last attack that you went on when you took that last segment. So I was like, all right, let's see where EJ's at. This is a little bit of my style, some of that short, quick, punchy stuff, and then into downhills. I was kind of just feeling you out at this point, seeing what you had left in the tank, because it's been a hard day up to this point.
Okay, so we are hitting this part of this climb it's like 15%. I have a little bit left in my leg, so I go right here knowing that these rollers and downhill is coming up, hoping that I can get enough of a gap to hold Luke off, just because like we've talked about before, man, your bike handling, your skills in these conditions are just much better than mine, and I know that, dude, it is like, to talk about the conditions, it is just coming down at this point. Like, I think there was 30-mile-an-hour winds. It was just pouring rain. How were you feeling?
Yeah, it was raining sideways at this point. It was crazy. So EJ went. I'm right on his back wheel here. So there was a little downhill before, and I knew that I opened up a pretty nice gap, but EJ got back onto my wheel on the uphill. So I just knew I just had to hold his wheel. If I go into the hurt, that's fine, because I did know that there was a downhill coming up. So I did count. I followed your attack, and then here's where I countered. I saw this downhill, and I had to get my YouTube fame, and I was risking it. So we went on the downhill. We pulled the old sneaky downhill attack, and I went.
Dude, really smart move right here. Let's see if it holds off. Okay, so I was able to claw back some time, and we're here on this last punch, dude. This climb is like probably 18 to 20%. It is so steep, and the finish line is just at the top. Like, we're 250 meters away. I'm like, oh, maybe I can catch him. Like, dude, I am putting down watts right here, but I just didn't have it in me. It was, I gave it my all, dude. You can see like the snot is just coming out of my nose right here. I was hurting, but dude, that attack on the downhill was so smart. Kudos to you.
Yeah, man, I came off that downhill, and so this was my first time on this road. Like EJ said, this was steep. It was a wall, and I just knew, all right, EJ got some watts back there. I was kind of hoping you were hurting. So I
Oh, I was.
I looked back, I saw that gap, and I just put my head down and got up and over that hill as quick as I could.
Come on, Luke!
Got it.
Come on, honey.
That was everything I had. Oh my God. Dude, good stage. Luke had me on the rollers for sure. His bike handling skills are 10x mine, and he just played to his advantage. Really smart, really well done. It's pouring rain. We're gonna keep rolling and get to lunch. Phew. So after that close finish, the score is now EJ 3, Luke 2. Now it is absolutely pouring rain at this point, and we are on the top of a mountain, so we have to descend back down into the valley while it is gusting winds, and hopefully it all goes to plan. I'm so cold. We're done. Got the climb.
We got bundled yesterday.
As you guys can see, we did not finish the ride yesterday. We decided to make it a 2-day stage race. So Luke and I are heading out today, Sunday morning, to do the last stage of the race, which is that 21-mile loop on Paradise. Yesterday, unfortunately, coming down Tam, it was just pouring rain, super windy, and to be honest, we were just kind of soft. When we got to lunch, when we met Alyssa for lunch, we were like, we're done. We're calling it. It honestly just felt unsafe to ride. This morning, we're gonna pick it up after the weather decides to sort itself out. So the points right now, currently I have 3, Luke has 2. If he wins this last one, we will have to have a tiebreaker unless he wins by more than 30 seconds. If I win this last one, then we're good to go. Your boy's gonna be in the yellow jersey. Looking forward to it. Comment down below if you guys wanna see more of this. Let's get to that last stage. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, so this is the last loop that we're doing here. This is now on day 2 since we decided to cut because of crazy weather conditions. This loop's 21.9 miles. It was about an average of 0.1%. So there was some pitches, some rolling hills, some uphills that were pretty steep, but there was also a lot of downhills. So that kind of neutralized the gradient there.
Yeah. And dude, going into this day, like, it was sunny right until we started.
I swear, as soon as we got the bikes off the rack and clipped in, it just started pouring on us. Like, we couldn't catch a break.
No, and dude, I was just like, I do not want to be wet at this point, you know. So, but I was like, you know what, we got to push through. We got to make it happen. And going into this this first little hill right here, the loop starts with like this, you know, I think probably what, 6-minute climb. My strategy was to get a gap on this climb. Like, I knew this climb was short enough and punchy enough, you know, that I could kind of do the same strategy that I had on Hawk Hill. So right now, like, I was putting down a pretty good pace and hoping to kind of tire you out, because again, this is a longer race, like 21 miles compared to what we've been doing. You know, this is going to take a little bit more strategy. But what was your strategy going into it?
Yeah, for sure. At this part, you know, I was a little. I didn't really have a good game plan or a game plan at all going into it at this point. Kind of wanted to see how my body was going to feel after yesterday. So really, I was just kind of comfortable to see what you had and ride your pace. I kind of knew this hill because we descended it yesterday. So I kind of knew what I was getting into. I just didn't want to let you open a big gap because I did know that we had that downhill coming up, so I knew I was going to be able to claw back your attack, but I just wanted to keep it within, you know, arm's length.
Yeah, definitely. And I think right here is when I really started to put down the power, just to see kind of how you were reacting and what was going on. And I think this is where I started to open a little bit of a gap. I think, yeah, you do get up and you close this one down. Like you said, you didn't want to let me get away. But yeah, let's see how this the rest of this climb plays out. Okay, so we're up this climb a little bit. About 3 minutes into it, you know, we probably got about 2 to 3 minutes left this climb, and I know this little pitch right here, and I just put down the power again, probably about 1100 watts, and I was just hoping I could get enough of a gap if I could throw down a little bit of power right there and just kind of ride my tempo. I could kind of, make you tired enough that you couldn't catch back up. There you see, I'm putting in one more final dig. Luke, what were you thinking?
Yeah, at this point, I knew we are getting kind of close to the top of the hill. I wasn't going to chase it down because I knew we had the descent coming up. I was pretty confident that I was going to be able to get back on. So I didn't want to burn that match to chase you down. So I was just kind of, keeping a good tempo, keeping a good pace, hoping that I could see you around all these turns, not letting it get too far ahead.
Yeah.
But keeping it, marginal, able to reel it back in on the downhill. That was my plan here.
Definitely. And we are still, super, super early. We're probably, 4 miles into this 21-mile race. So, again, we're burning a lot of matches early. Let's see how it plays out. So, after that climb, we get to this sick rip and descent, like Luke said. And, Luke, as you said, your strategy is you're just going to descend better than me, which you can see me up in the distance. You're starting to close the gap. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I know my plan, right, since this was a longer race, I didn't want to burn a match on that hill that if I didn't have to. So I didn't really put in a big effort to claw this back. I also think the traffic in front of you helped a little bit. It kind of neutralized it. So kind of just got on with you, kind of come up alongside you, say, all that for nothing. We're back on square one.
Oh yeah, and then you just see us here. I'm juking you out right here, just kind of fake attacking here and there. But then all of a sudden, so we'd been neutralized pretty much for a little bit. This was probably about 5 miles later. All of a sudden, Luke puts in a pretty big dig up this hill and gets a little bit of a gap. Now, what was your thought here? You saw the hill coming up, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I kind of saw that hill coming up, not on my Wahoo or anything. I really wasn't paying attention to that. I just kind of saw it in the distance. Kind of wanted to see what you had after that last attack that you put in, since it was a pretty big one. It's still early on, just kind of wanted to start gauging where your legs were.
And I was able to bring it back. Dude, that was a good attack, though. I know I was hurting a little bit at this point, but seeing blue skies in the distance, as you guys can see on the camera up there, it was making me feel a little bit more at home. Roads are still wet, still a little bit slippery, but I was down to just kind of swap attacks with Luke at this point and just kind of burn a couple of these miles out, Okay, so literally for like the next 7 miles, it was just attack, counterattack, attack, counterattack. You can see me up the road here. I threw an attack on this hill. But Luke claws it back, and then he counterattacks, and then I attack again. And yeah, what were your thoughts, Luke?
Yeah, at this point, I think we were both kind of on par. We both were kind of feeling good at this point. Still had a lot left in the tank. We kind of learned that none of the attacks were sticking. I think this is kind of the point where we realized if we keep going like this, for this whole 21-mile loop, we were going to definitely be in danger of blowing up. So I kind of clawed this one back, and we almost, I don't want to say we neutralized it, but I think both of us started riding a little bit smarter and not just throwing attacks left and right. All right, so we're rolling through this loop, and there's a gate in the road, and I thought we were stuck. EJ says, nah, we're going right through it. So once we swing around this gate, I'm on this little sidewalk. This is easily, 20-25%, maybe.
No, I think
more.
I looked back at the Strava. It was like 34%.
Yeah, this
little pitch.
This is insane. It is so steep here, and we get to the top. There's this nice little bench. You get this look over, but also there's this gate. So it's a little cyclocross here. Go through the mud, and then you swing out, and you're on this road that is almost like rumble strips.
Dude, you almost lay it down right there. And again, I had never ridden. I've ridden the Paradise Loop plenty of times, but I've never ridden it this way. I just drew this up on Strava the night before, and it added this part that I didn't even know was there. So this was new to Luke and I, dude. And it was like 41% on that little pitch where Luke almost fell over. It was brutal.
I think right before we got on this, I just got done making a joke that I would never use my granny gear. And I am so thankful that I had it here, because if I didn't, I would have been at like 10 RPMs. It was just insanely steep. EJ played it well
Yeah.
too. You know, he got around that gate at the bottom a little cleaner than I did, and he took that opportunity and he saw it and he went. And this was pretty painful for me. I had to dig a little bit deep here. It was kind of flat, rolling roads. I didn't know it really well. Again, there was a descent, pretty technical, pretty tight turns, small roads. Had I known that, I would have laid way off here. But I was kind of getting nervous because this was getting towards the end of the loop, so I wanted to make sure that EJ didn't get away.
Yeah, we were about, I think, 15 miles in at this point, so 6 miles ago. So yeah, Luke kind of just put the hammer down, ended up crawling me back, ended up clawing back on. And yeah, I mean, this part of the ride definitely played to you, like rollers and then descents. And yeah, I mean, but all in all, we were just kind of riding together. And yeah, let's see how it plays out. Okay, so we have about a little bit less than that. I think like
I think it was about 4.
Yeah, about 4 miles to go. And I know this part of the loop like the back of my hand. I know there's this climb here, and then after this climb, it is just rollers and turns. So I'm like, dude, I have to get a gap here. Like, if I don't, like, Luke pretty much wins. You know, we've established he's a better bike handler than me. We established he's a little bit better at descending and rollers and all that. So at the top of this, I just kind of go a little bit above threshold and put the hammer on, hoping that I can create a gap and hoping that he doesn't stick on. Luke, what were you thinking? It kind of looks like you're panicking here a little bit.
Yeah, for sure I was panicking. Like I said, after that steep section that we just looked at, I put in a pretty big effort to get you back, and I wasn't completely recovered from that. I kind of knew, right, that it was rollers, and I was kind of looking forward to this, but you jumped me, you caught me off guard, and I'm kind of in full panic mode because you opened up a nice gap here.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see if I'm able to hold it off.
Right, so at this point, I'm throwing everything I have at the wall. There was a turn back there where I was just entering the turn, and I could see EJ's blue jacket, blue jersey, just squeaking out of that turn. He probably had about 45 seconds at me. So I'm going as hard as I can at this point, and I get to this split in the road, and you can kind of see I'm like, I hesitate. I don't know which way to go. I go left here.
Yeah.
And then I actually loop back around. My Wahoo's yelling at me. So now I go back, and I'm now going the right direction here. And now it's telling me to go back from where I just came from. I had no clue what was going on. This was probably about a half a mile from the finish line.
Yeah.
EJ had 40 seconds on me, at least. He definitely took this one, even with my directional error. This was definitely an EJ win.
Let's go! Yes! Absolutely full out on those last, 9 miles. And somehow or another, I pulled out the win. I think Luke will be here soon. We'll wrap it up when he gets here. Let's go!
So I went the right way, and then this motherfucker told me to turn around. So where that fire station was, at the top, I was going down the hill, and then it tells me to make a U-turn again.
Okay, so Luke, somehow his Wahoo got everything twisted about. Comment down below who you think won. I think I had a gap, that's fair to say, but comment down below. Let us know if we should do this again. Luke, thanks so much for coming out, brother.
Thanks for having me, man.
Woo! All right, we'll see you guys in the next one.